Okay, next question. So someone asked, daily green boost provides a portion of the necessary nutrients for the body. How can you make sure you get the amounts you need of all the nutrients? Because you can't really trust that the produce you buy at the store will have the necessary nutrients, even if it's organic.
Right, that's very true. This person knows a very important point that I'm making over and over and over again when I speak to people, that if you're buying your food from the agro-based food industry, they grow for things like appearance and size and yield and pest resistance, shelf life, um, growth rate, sugar content, but they do not grow for nutritional content because they're not being forced to by government, and the customers, the consumers are not telling them to do it. They're not asking for it.
Yeah.
So why would they? Okay. So how do you get, people ask me all the time, so how can you guarantee that we're getting enough of all the nutrients the body requires for optimal health? Like if we do the green powder, there is no way to know for absolutely 100% sure. There aren't tests that will tell you, oh yeah, you're getting enough, because first of all, what are the test results? What are they based on?
Hmm.
A lot of test results, when I see the what's called the reference range, which you are supposed to be within when you get the result, I'm like, no, that's way too low. Or vitamin D is an example. They say 30 is the lowest. No, 50 is the lowest. So if you're at 35, you're good because you're in the range, but no, it really should be 50 as the lowest. That's the optimal range. But medical doctors aren't there yet. Maybe in another 10 or 15 years they will be, but we know about it now. So there aren't good tests for everything. For some things like D and B12 and iodine, fortunately, there are good tests, but not for everything. So how do you know for sure? You can't. All you can do is work with probabilities. What can you do to give you the best odds, the highest probability of getting enough of what the body requires for optimal health? And you can look at it like this. There are only three states that you can have as far as getting nutrition for your body. You can either get exactly what it needs, exactly, no more, no less, which is impossible. So let's not even talk about that one. Or you can get not enough or too much. So those are the three, or two, not enough and too much. Now, if you, speaking on behalf of your body, which do you think your body would choose? Not enough or more than you need?
More than you need.
Obviously, this is the way it works in nature. You
Yeah.
get more than you need to guarantee you'll get enough. And what about the excess? The body either stores it or it excretes it in your urine or in your breath or in your feces. It just gets rid of what it doesn't want, and now you're guaranteed to get enough. So that's the guarantee, to get more than you need. But how do you know how to get more than you need? Just first and foremost, you have to add a nutritional adjunct to the diet, something to complement the diet, to compensate for the poor quality of the fruits and vegetables that you're buying from the agro-based food industry. So that's just number one. You do that, and you don't, and I'm not talking about a teaspoon. Some bottles, I look at the bottle, and the bottle says 1 teaspoon per day. And I start laughing hysterically in the store, and people have to come up to me and say, "What's so funny?" And I point, look, look what it says, a teaspoon. I'm like, yeah, so it says a teaspoon. You should do a teaspoon. Oh, no, no, no. So on Daily Green Boost, they say 2 heaping tablespoons, which is the bare minimum. So kudos to Daily Green Boost for being honest. They're not saying it to try and sell more. The owner of Daily Green Boost consulted with me when doing his product to bottle it on what should be, because he was a client of mine. So I counseled him on what is a meaningful amount. Some people need to do more than 2 heaping tablespoons a day because they're dealing with things. Some people had to do 6 heaping tablespoons a day, and that's a lot. But it helped them because they were dealing with nutrient insufficiencies and deficiencies. So if you've gotten yourself up to a proper level somehow and you want to keep it there, you keep it there with you can't keep it there with just eating the fruits and the greens from the agro-based food industry. You have to have a nutritional adjunct to the diet. So another way is variety. Some people say, "Hey Don," they call me up, "I'm eating a fruit and I'm eating a fruit vegetable diet." I'm like, "Yay, good for you. What are you eating?" "Well, I'm eating oranges, bananas, and lettuce." "Okay, that's what you had today. What else do you eat?" "Oh no, I'm just eating oranges, bananas, and lettuce. These are the things that I discovered that I really love, so this is what I'm eating." I say, "Dude, that's not enough. That's not variety. You need variety because different foods have different profiles of the minerals, the vitamins, the phytonutrients, the essential fatty acids, the essential amino acids, different profiles. That's why variety is important, because that's what gives your body the ability to say, I want this today, but the next day it doesn't want that. It wants something else because it knows what these profiles are. So you need variety in your diet. As I mentioned before, be active so you can eat more food.
Hmm.
When you're appropriately active, you're going to end up eating more food for your caloric needs than if you were sedentary. Well, with more food is going to come more nutrition in general. So that's going to help too. Um, and so adding the green powder in, and you're pretty much at that point doing the best you can, unless you want to look at the other side of the equation, which is don't do the things that require your body to need even more nutrition. Like, I'll give you an obvious example: smoking. Smoking and drinking. You do smoking and drinking, that's going to increase your needs for certain nutrients. Well, don't smoke or drink. Now you need less of those nutrients. So there's the two sides of the coin. Just make sure you're getting boatloads of stuff. Don't worry about taking more than you need. And people run the numbers. Well, this what I ate today gives me this many grams of calcium, but now if I use the daily green boost, it's going to put me over that amount. Well,
Yeah.
good. Your body will just get rid of what it doesn't need. But what about getting enough of, or more than you need, of chromium and boron and, and selenium? You got to, but don't go crazy and go to Cron-O-Meter or fitday.com and start punching in all the numbers. You'll drive yourself out of your mind with that. It's really not necessary to do that. Cron-O-Meter and fitday.com are good for looking at the percentage of carbs to fat to protein. That's an interesting one, but they're not good for anything else. And I have an article, which we can put down below, about the fallacy of using fitday.com or Chronometer to figure out if you're getting enough nutrients or not, and how that does not work at all, and you should not be relying on that.
Hmm. Yeah. And I had some friends asking me about like taking vitamin supplements, so multivitamin, and can you overdose, take too much over a nutrient that will cause problems?
Well, yes and no. It depends. There are two types, or two basic forms of a nutrient: the pre-plant form and the post-plant form. The pre-plant form is what you'll find in soil before the plant gets to it. Um, the post-plant form is the form of the nutrient after the plant gets a hold of it from the soil and gets it in there through the roots, through the courtesy of the microbes, and with the sun and the air and the water, turns it into the form that's very bioavailable for us. The form that's in the soil, it's not totally unbioavailable. We can use some of it, like sodium from the soil. We can use some of the sodium, but not nearly as much as if when it goes through the plant and then we eat a nice tomato that has a good amount of sodium in it. Um, so it's the pre-plant form of nutrients that you can overdose in, because you can't use that much of it, and the body has to deal with all that excess. It's hard to overdose on the post-plant form in food. I mean, it's impossible, really. If you're eating food, you're not going to get too much calcium if you're eating food. You're not going to get too much calcium even if you're adding 2 or 3 heaping tablespoons a day of that green powder that I talked about. So it's not possible to overdose on any of those things. It's more likely you'll underdo it if you're not eating enough food or eating enough nutritious food or the green powder or whatever. But if you take the pills, the multivitamin pills, yeah, then you can take too much, but it's just burdening the body. It's not something that's going to put you in the hospital. It's just burdening your body, because your body just has to deal with all the fillers and the excipients in those pills. I have not found, and believe me, I've tried, because it's so much easier taking a pill than dealing with that green powder. Um, I mean, if you get the green powder on the spoon and you bring it up to put it in and you sneeze, that's, oh boy, you'll be cleaning green powder
Yeah.
up for days. But people would just rather pop a pill. And a lot of people say, yeah, all right, I can do that. That's the change I'm going to make in my life. I don't take a multivitamin now. Even medical doctors say to take a multivitamin, but they're convinced that multivitamins are very helpful. And why we see the commercials on TV that, oh, it's everything from A to Z. Oh my God. I was an insider in the supplement industry for a while. And I can tell you, please don't waste your money on pill type multivitamins. Now, I do recommend sometimes somebody take a pill type chromium or a pill type magnesium for a very short period of time, just to deal with a chromium deficiency or a selenium deficiency, just to bring it up, and then let your diet and the green powder stuff that you put in your diet keep you there. But those things are not the same as a multivitamin. I've not found a really good multivitamin. And people, when I say that, people start emailing me, here's one. I won't mention any names of companies, But each one I can write them back and say, sorry, no, 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 because I've done the research and I was an insider in the supplement industry. I know what goes on with those pill type multivitamins. So the best multivitamin are the green powders, and not just any one, because there are good green powders and really crappy green powders. So you have to know which one is going to give you the most bang for your buck and actually going to be the most worthwhile for you to take. So yeah, spend your money not on pill type multivitamins, because you'll notice a lot of them are very inexpensive. But some people say, no, no, I buy the real expensive one. Yeah, but what if it's just as crappy as the inexpensive one? Now you're really throwing a lot of money away, money that you
Yeah.
could be spending on something worthwhile like the green powder.
Right. Yep. Okay, next question. What would you suggest to competitive athletes to pay attention mostly when it comes to their diet? And what are some of the most important things for athletes they need to make sure is in place so that they'll be able to perform their best?
Okay, I have to say I want to get it on record as saying I'm not the best one to ask about this because I don't train athletes. And when it comes to physical activity, what I recommend is not being sedentary. I recommend being appropriately active.
Hmm.
And the word appropriate is not my opinion. It's from the perspective of the body, of your body. What does your body feel is appropriate level of activity for you to have it do? You know, people who are athletes and doing athletic things and they're running and triathlons and marathons and all this, that's being overactive. That's actually your body would rather you not do that. You enjoy doing it for a multitude of reasons, but your body, it's not good for your body, and it it would not be good for it long term. That's one of the problems with being with doing balls to the wall type physical activity and athletic activity. It doesn't let you know instantly that this is not good. It's not like hitting your thumb with a hammer. If you hit your thumb with a hammer, you'll know instantly that this was bad to do. It won't take years to realize it. But it can take years to realize it. I have friends from 20 years ago, avid runners the whole time. Now they're paying the price. Now they're having the operations. Now some of them can't run anymore. Those people are getting depressed. They're having to take antidepressive medications. It's really bad. It's really bad. So that's why I'm a big fan of being appropriately active. Not too little, not too much. It's like the porridge in Goldilocks. Not too hot, not too cold. So, but in general, if you're going to be athletic, and again, there's various levels of being athletic. There's the people who run, a marathon every day. That's crazy. That's just
Hmm.
insane. They might as well, I put them in the same category as people who smoke cigarettes. I really do. But then there's people who do the kind of physical activity that you do. That's a lot better. That's a lot more loving to the body.
Hmm.
Okay. And it certainly guarantees that you're definitely doing at least an appropriate amount.
Yep.
You're not sedentary, guaranteed. Um, so we can give some thought to being athletic and what we, again, how healthy do we want to be? How do we make sure we can stay in really good shape? Because what good is never getting a diagnosis of cancer or arthritis or heart disease if when you're 90 years old, you didn't pay attention your whole life to fitness? So now you have no diseases, but you can't get out of a chair without help from somebody else because you didn't pay attention to your fitness. So what I say is, what we're designed to do, work on that so we'll always be able to do it. So, walking, climbing, and sprinting, you want to be able to do that every day of your life. To when you're 95 years old, 98 years old, you still want to be able to do those things. So you just do those things now and keep doing those things. But what athletes would need is really, as far as diet's concerned, is not really any different than what somebody being appropriately active would need. They're just going to need a little more. You're obviously going to need more calories. You're going to need more food because you're burning more calories, more carbohydrates. So you're going to need more food. Now, the downside to that is, from what we've learned from food deprivation and caloric restriction studies, is that when you eat more food than you're designed to eat, it's not good. Even if you burn it off so you don't gain weight, so you're still staying at your proper set weight, but you're being very active, you're eating an amount of food to fuel that level of activity, but it's overactive from the perspective of the body, you're doing just more digestion. Now, yes, you'll have to sleep a little bit more to recover, But forgetting about the sleep for the moment, that's just more digestion. It's more nerve energy. And that's why you have to sleep more to replenish that nerve energy that you had to use for the extra. So it's that these are all the different reasons why being overactive, more than appropriately active, is hard on the body. So it's something to think about. More food, more digestion, more money to pay for the food. But okay, it's better to do the kind of activity you do than to do a marathon every other day. But it's really the same thing as far as diet, just more of it. And so there's more sleep you're going to need, and more nutritional adjuncts to the diet too. If you were doing 2 heaping tablespoons a day of the green powder, someone like yourself may want to do 3.
Okay.
Now, if you're going to ask any specific nutrients are more important or especially important when you're athletic, the most important nutrients are the ones that you're low in. That's my pat answer to that. I'm being funny, but really it's true. The most important nutrients are the ones you're low in, but you don't really know what the ones you're low in. You can't really always know what mineral you're low in. That's, again, speaks to the importance of taking that green powder as a nutritional adjunct.
Yeah, because it's very common in the in sports and in athletes in general that to have supplement with magnesium or sodium or stuff like that. People are taking they're adding, like, they're taking supplements or adding stuff to their smoothies or stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, yeah, you have a sodium potassium balance that you need in your body. Um, you also have a sodium hydration balance that you need in your body. Those have to be kept proper. You're getting enough potassium in your diet, but you're not getting enough sodium. So that's why even athletes start to run up against sodium deficiencies, and muscles start cramping, and magnesium deficiencies. So then they add more of that in. But now if you're adding more sodium in to keep your sodium potassium balance proper, well, now you got to get more water in to keep your sodium water balance proper, or else you're getting too much sodium and not enough water, and that's bad for athletes. Then some athletes just drink too much water. It goes in the other direction, hyponatremia. That's bad for athletes. So you just have to there's more work you got to do, more mental gymnastics, so to speak, when you're an athlete as far as your diet. More things you have to be careful about.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. How do you get iodine on a raw vegan diet?
This is one of my favorite questions because I found in my practice that it's one of the things that contributes to of a lot of illness over time. Again, these are chronic degenerative conditions that people get. As I mentioned earlier today, we were getting iodine as a society because it was added to salt when it was discovered that this was what was causing this epidemic of thyroid issues. So they added iodine to salt. It was the first fortified nutrient, by the way, in the food fortification program. It was iodine. So they added it to table salt because everyone back then was using table salt. Not today. A lot of people have stopped using table salt because they've understood that it's the pre-plant form of sodium, and it's better to get the post-plant form of sodium. Or if you're going to add salt, it certainly shouldn't be table salt. There's slightly healthier forms of salt that you can add, like sea salt, to a smoothie or something, a little tiny pinch or whatever. But that's not going to contain any iodine now because it's not fortified with it. So when you move from a diet that has fortification, whether it's iodine or D or B12, to a truly healthy diet, which has no fortification, now you got to be careful about where you get your iodine, B12, and D, and things like that, and iodine especially. All the glands and organs of your immune system need sufficient amounts of iodine. If you're not getting it, no wonder you can still get a diagnosis of cancer down the road, even a raw foodist. Now, it won't be at the age you would have gotten it if you were still eating the typical Western diet, but you get it a little later in life, but you still get the diagnosis. That's BS. We shouldn't ever have to get that diagnosis. So getting enough of all the nutrients that your body requires for optimal health, as I've said time and time again, is important, but every nutrient. And there's not even enough iodine in that green powder. Now, people say, which green powder has enough iodine? Well, none of them do. And is this only because iodine is not as plentiful in soils to begin with today. So even though the soils that the barley grass is being grown in to make the barley grass juice powder, which is the one I recommend, is great with the other minerals, it's still too low in iodine. because of our needs of iodine. Our needs today of iodine are more than they were 75,000 years ago. They're just more. So it's same thing for vitamin D and B12. Our needs of some of these things that our immune system depends upon are more today than they were many millennia ago because of all um, the environmental poisons and toxins that we're exposed to and the stresses that our bodies are under, both physical and emotional. So we need more of some of these things, especially iodine. IQ has been going down in the United States. Hypothyroidism has been going up in the United States since people starting to get rid of salt in their diet. No more salt in their diet because the iodine started going too low in their diet. So babies are being born with lower IQs and more people are having hypothyroidism. So how do you get it on a raw vegan diet? The only way to get it is to supplement with it. It's the only pill type supplement that I take because I can't get it any other way. If I moved to Japan and I ate fresh seaweed, then I wouldn't need to take a pill type iodine supplement. People in Japan, they have the rate of breast cancer, the women's rate of breast cancer is like non-existent there because they get plenty of iodine, and iodine is necessary for the immune system to help prevent breast cancer. But so it's got to be a supplement, but it's not like a B12 supplement. I mean, you could take a B12 supplement, take a bottle, and read it wrong and say, "Oh, I got to take the whole bottle." Okay, so you take the whole bottle because you didn't read the label correctly. It's not all you're going to do is waste the money of the bottle. You're not going to be harmed by it. Iodine is at the other end of the spectrum. You can put yourself in the hospital by not taking iodine properly. So I have an article on how to do B12. I have an article on how to do vitamin D, how to self-assess and self-correct. You just have to read the whole article, maybe read it a second time so you got it down. Most people can do it. But iodine, I can't write an article on it. I tried. It's just too complicated and there's too much risk of going horribly wrong with it and doing damage to yourself. So to do iodine, it should be done under the care of an iodine literate practitioner, under the guidance of someone who knows what they're doing. And yes, that includes me, but I don't care if you use me or if you use somebody else. Just make sure the person understands how to use iodine. Read up on it. I have an article that like it explains to you when you're vetting somebody, a practitioner, to deal with iodine, what questions to ask or what red flags they can say that shows you they don't know what they're talking about. Because there's practitioners out there, some of them are chiropractors, some of them are naturopaths, and my clients have come to me and they say, well, he told me to do this. And I'm like, oh my God, no. Where are they getting their training from? I don't understand. So it just because someone says, oh yes, iodine is very important, that doesn't mean that everything that's going to come out of their mouths from that point forward is going to be correct information. So you want to work with someone who really, really knows what they're doing. Not so much so that, of course, it's safe and you don't end up winding up in the hospital, but so that it works for you. Because there are some practitioners who say, take this amount. And I'm like, that's not enough. Oh my God. That's not going to raise your iodine levels back up. Your test shows you're extremely low right now. And he told you to take that much. So there is that to consider. Mm-hmm. So do it with guidance. But do it. I mean, it should be something you focus on. Iodine, B12, and D are the three that everybody should be focusing on. And that's why in my practice, I have a specific counseling service that just deals with those three, the three most important, what I call the problematic nutrients. And that's why it doesn't deal with anything else. It's just those three. And that's what keeps the cost of the counseling as low as it is.